CPAC is full steam ahead. That stands for the Conservative blah, blah, blah committee. All the conservative guys are over there talking. Not me. I'm a conservative, but I'm not a professional conservative. I don't do all those talking meetings. I'm one of you. I'm a regular guy just making comments on the news as I see fit. Welcome to the Doug TenNapel channel. I hope you guys have liked this channel. Tell me what you think of the channel in the comments below. And of course, leave a little thumbs up. That helps our channel out a lot. And of course, watching to the end helps a lot too. Here's Ted Cruz on the Daily Signal interviewing him at CPAC.
Ted Cruz.
Tyler, great to be with you.
The one, the only. So you just got done interviewing our Attorney General, Pam Bondi.
And asked her, all right, first 15 days, what has been accomplished, what needs to be done? And I'll tell you, she is very focused on, number one, keeping us safe, putting murderers and rapists and child molesters and gang members and terrorists, putting them in jail.
Wait, that's how far we've come. For those of you who think this is some conservative revolution, it's now a conservative ideology to put murderers in prison and the R word and child diddlers in prison. That's the new America. That's the new revolution is now. We had a major victory and we put murderers in prison now.
Going after the cartels, going after the people who are threatening our safety. And she is also laser focused on ending the politicization and weaponization of the Department of Justice and the FBI. Both of those are desperately, desperately needed. The entire 4 years of Trump's presidency, the left is going to wage lawfare against him. You're going to have Democrat attorneys general who are going to sue the federal government over and over and over again. You're going to have left-wing activists paid for by George Soros, paid for by left-wing billionaires that are just going to file relentless lawsuits. And they're going to go seek out friendly judges. They're going to file these cases in blue states. They're going to go out and seek left-wing radical judges. And that means the Department of Justice is going to be defending the president day in and day out. And she's right. Right now, they are winning these cases all over the place.
Do you think the Supreme Court needs to make a ruling to prevent these activist judges from issuing these nationwide injunctions? I mean,
look, the issue of nationwide injunctions is actually hotly contested in the law. And you see a single district judge that tries to govern the entire country. And the basic principle is that a judge has the authority to resolve the case in controversy in front of him between the litigants. But the authority of one district judge to issue a nationwide injunction is hotly contested, and I think it's something that Congress ought to address as well. Whether the Supreme Court reins it in or not, I don't know. At a minimum, where you're going to see these cases where you do get a bad injunction, a lawless injunction, you're going to see the Department of Justice appealing those cases, and you're going to see the cases overturned either in the courts of appeal or ultimately, I think, in the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yes, it's going up to the Supreme Court. You can't have a state injunction that spreads out way beyond that state's authority. That judge's authority is within that state. So he can't say, I'm making a federal claim against the president, not just for an offense that he did in this state, but for what he's doing across all states. It doesn't make sense. It will go to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court will have to rule on it. I don't know how they will rule, but we know how we think they should rule. Now, here's a quick piece of news on Fani Willis that Phil Holloway. This is not a big deal, but I just thought it was just to get a catch up on her. Breaking: Fani Willis is hit with a subpoena. Quote, if she's not willing to come and explain her conduct or misconduct, then we will subpoena her and require her to come. Unquote. A Georgia court ruled in Georgia Senate has the power to subpoena her. She is appealing. She surely doesn't want to testify. And that's just based on this WSB TV headline: investigative committee looking into Fani Willis' conduct, issue subpoena for her to testify. They've been trying to get her to come in for a long time, and she's resisting, just saying it's not within your authority. So that's the update on her. She's being subpoenaed. She's resisting. She's going to try to appeal it. You guys know how I'm a The View. I have a The View thing. This is Nicholas Fondacaro at Newsbusters, has this clip. It involves Pete Buttigieg.
It is how Trump Republicans are made, if that comes to your workplace with the best of intentions, but doesn't actually get at what we're what actually matters here, what's actually at stake.
So do you agree with him that DEI initiatives drove voters to Trump?
That's Pete Buttigieg saying that it was DEI that drove voters to Trump. I think it's pretty clear by the elections. It's also pretty clear that Pete Buttigieg, by the way, who is now number 2 in the Democrat Party, they just did a recent poll for president. Pete Buttigieg is number 2. Number 1 was Kamala Harris, who I think is getting 30%. Buttigieg here, who's getting like 7 or 10%, who is a totally diversity hire. He would not have gotten his job. He's a white male, so he would not have gotten his job if he wasn't gay. And the same thing, he would not be considered for president if he wasn't gay. And so number 1, Kamala Harris. Number 2, Pete Buttigieg. I believe number 3 is Gavin Newsom. And I forgot who number 4 was on that list.
It is how Trump Republicans are made, if that comes to your workplace with the best of intentions, but doesn't actually get at what actually matters here, what's actually at stake.
So do you agree with him that DEI initiatives drove voters to Trump? And what else can be done to make sure everyone is represented on an even playing field?
You know what I think, and
what do you think, Sonny?
I like Pete, of course, but I think he got that so wrong, and I think it was so tone deaf, considering
Which
what's
part?
going on. All of it. I thought
All of it. Why are you saying that, Sonny? Do you have a problem with his sexual preference? Is that why? I believe that's how this is played.
it was tone deaf, because what happens is when from 1776 to 1965, you have basically white men in charge of everything, right? Women, people of color.
200 years, white men were in charge of everything. Now, I'm just going to follow her on this. I didn't make this claim, she did, that for 200 years, white men were in charge of everything. She's basically saying that white men built this entire country. We were in charge of women. We were in charge of people of color. Therefore, they can take no responsibility on the building of the world's greatest country. Now, something tells me that's not what she means. And of course, it's a ridiculous statement. What she said is she's just trying to foment resentment and anger. The idea that it was whiteness that built the country. No, it was human beings who happened to be white. That's how I would put it. But she actually wants to give us even more credit, that somehow whites are like these draconian, controlling people. You know, the country, I think it's pretty good. But if she had her will, she could have gone back in time and changed it to someone besides a bunch of white men. Maybe a bunch of black women made this country. You know what would probably happen? The View probably wouldn't exist. Probably civilization may not even exist. I don't know what would have happened. I'm pretty happy with the country.
They're left out of just equality of opportunity, that sort of thing.
We're going to put a stop to Sonny's insanity right there. They were not given equality. They were given opportunity. There were some women that bubbled up from the bottom. They also weren't interested in becoming president back then. It culturally just wasn't something anyone could think of. But you had some great minds, Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington, that took advantage of certain opportunities and did pretty well for themselves, to a point that some people, I would rather my children be born here than to be born free in Africa, because of the opportunities that are in this country because of freedom compared to Africa, no matter what race you're in. I'd rather have them born here in any situation. Would you rather have your women born here in a company with no opportunity for women? Or would you rather have them born in the Gaza Strip or in Saudi Arabia? You're crazy. America is the greatest place in the world, even for people who are treated unfairly. And then finally, I'm just going to end on this last tweet by Trump because it's so funny. We've done a lot on James Carville, and he brings him out here. President Trump tweet, "I won the presidential election in a landslide. I won all 7 swing states, the popular vote, and all 50 states shifted Republican, a record. And now I've had the best polling numbers I've ever had. The Democrats run by broken down losers like James Carville." James Carville, the Cobra Man, who's weak of mind and body, are going crazy and just don't know what to do. They have lost their confidence and spirit. They have lost their minds. We're going to have big wins for our country and make America great again. It's already happening, and we'll get bigger and better than ever before. Now, that is just gloating and a victory lap, and I just want the Democrats even more demoralized. I want them quitting, crying, rethinking their entire political philosophy and just going, we have nothing. We have to start over, this time on loving America instead of hating America. This time maybe embracing capitalism instead of communism. This time considering belief in God and supporting the Christian church instead of despising the Christian church and trying to be an atheist, materialist enterprise. Let's try that. We're going to embrace the Constitution instead of call it a living, breathing Constitution and try and change it and edit it and say it's outdated and has to be updated by boomer, radical Black Panther hippies. Let's do that. I'm Doug in exile.